I've watched that video countless times, and it sure looks like Brittney Griner says, white girl.
Just when it looked like the WNBA was ready to embrace the golden goose that pulled them back from the edge of irrelevance, here comes a tidal wave of hypocrisy wrapped in jealousy. And right at the center of the storm, Brittney Griner, acting like Caitlin Clark's record-breaking crowds are some sort of crisis instead of the miracle the league's been begging for. Instead of celebrating the spotlight Clark brings, we get eye rolls, snide remarks, and thinly veiled resentment. It's not just tone deaf, it's self-sabotage on a league-wide level, led by someone who should know better.
Every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there watching on purpose. It's very disruptive. She says WNBA games used to be a chill, quiet place. You could bring your laptop and relax, maybe even get a little work done. But now it's like there's large gatherings of people watching us from the stands. Some of them are yelling crazy shit about what they're seeing, putting unfair pressure on us to score, like we're there for their entertainment. You are. The whole thing is toxic. I saw a guy with his daughter in the crowd, both of them yelling, couldn't hear what they were saying exactly, but it was either my performance or some.
But here's where it gets glorious, folks. Stephen A. Smith, the loudest voice in sports, with a PhD in calling out nonsense, has finally hit his limit. And when Stephen A. hits that level, it's not just a hot take, it's a 5-alarm truth bomb. While others tiptoe around Caitlin Clark's impact, he's been yelling it from the rooftops, and now he's done being polite. The man is locked in, fed up, and ready to deliver a verbal smackdown that even the most delusional critics can't ignore. Grab your popcorn, because class is in session and Professor Smith isn't pulling punches.
To be honest with you folks, the WNBA already set a precedent. It doesn't matter what Brittney Griner said. It doesn't matter what Brittney Griner said, because they've already shown us they don't need evidence, they don't need substance, they don't need any type of proof at all to launch a bogus investigation into Indiana Fever fans, so they shouldn't need any substance, any basis, any evidence to launch an investigation into any other fan, any other player, any other group. The WNBA set.
If you've followed Stephen A. Smith's WNBA commentary over the past year, you've seen a man simmering, slowly approaching what can only be described as a full-blown eruption of logic and frustration. This goes way beyond basketball now. It's about witnessing a league actively fumble its greatest opportunity in decades because a handful of players and front office execs can't stomach the fact that one rookie came in and flipped the entire narrative. Stephen's not just venting. He's begging the WNBA to wake up before they trip over their own egos and lose everything they've gained.
Brittney Griner was in a Russian prison. You would think that somebody who is now free, back in America on home soil, would not have too much to complain about. Especially something like this. Fans in every sport. She described the fans.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what sport you're. It doesn't matter what sport you pick. That's how fans act. In every arena.
This moment has been brewing for months, maybe even since the second Caitlin Clark laced up her sneakers and became the most influential player the WNBA has ever seen. While half the league treated her like an uninvited guest who stumbled onto the court with a souvenir jersey and a dream, Stephen A. Smith was out there dropping truth bombs backed by data so clear, even a calculator would start clapping. He's been the lone voice of reason in a sea of ego, saying what everyone with common sense already knows. Caitlin Clark isn't the future, she is the moment.
We know this. Attendance for the entire league was up nearly 50% last year. According to data from across the timeline, and Indiana led all teams with an average attendance of 17,035. That was up 319% from the year earlier. 319%. 319%. All other teams still grew by double-digit percentages. So let's not forget that. But they didn't grow by 319%. That was Caitlin Clark, which means she's largely responsible for the overall league attendance records. Merchandise sales were also up 450% for the WNBA, according to Fanatics, and Clark was the top-selling player and is fifth among athletes across all.
We'll find out. We don't know yet, Stevens said when asked about Caitlin Clark's impact on WNBA ratings. But I'm going to be really, really interested in seeing what kind of effect this has on the WNBA's ratings. Because if for some reason there is a precipitous drop-off, then everybody needs to stand down. It's like watching someone complain about being broke while a pot of gold sits untouched in the corner. And Steven, he's the guy practically losing his voice shouting, "The gold is right there," while everyone else argues about whose treasure map is more inclusive.
This is the magnetic attraction that draws viewers to the WNBA, and her absence over the next 2 weeks due to that quad strain is providing further evidence of that. Then everybody needs to accept it, stand down, and ride that wave. I'm going to be really interested in seeing how the ratings are going to look without her over the next 2 weeks. Let's make sure we come back and ask me this exact same question after she's been gone for those 2 weeks.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. Let's talk hard numbers, because apparently some folks in the WNBA front office still think vibes pay the bills. Games featuring Caitlin Clark this season are averaging 1.178 million viewers. Games without her? Just 394,000. That's a 199% difference. A canyon so wide you could land a jet in it. Put simply, Clark-led games draw nearly 3 times the audience. She's not just a rookie. She's a one-woman ratings boom. The Indiana Fever's season opener against the Chicago Sky, it drew 2.7 million viewers on ABC, the most-watched WNBA game ever across ESPN platforms. That's not coincidence. That's Caitlin. She's doing more than playing basketball. She's shifting the financial and cultural center of the league. Ignore her impact and you're not just blind, you're actively holding back the one thing keeping your league relevant. Wake up, the numbers are screaming.
And also, news just came out. Ratings are higher than it's ever been for the WNBA.
Yeah.
Congrats to Caitlin Clark. It's crazy how that works.
I mean, what are you going to do? Proof's in the pudding, kind
Get a girl out of Iowa.
Exactly.
Who can pull up from the state next door.
Yeah.
And light up an entire arena, every arena.
Here's where Stevens' frustration hits a boiling point. Instead of the WNBA leadership falling to their knees, thanking the basketball gods for this incredible gift, they respond with lukewarm press releases and generic social media posts. It's as if they're embarrassed by their own success, too afraid to admit that one player has transformed the league so dramatically. Stephen A. Smith has been witnessing this in real time, and his simmering frustration is building toward an explosion. He's seen Clark shatter viewership records, fill arenas, and elevate the sport into mainstream consciousness. Yet some players and pundits act as if she doesn't deserve all the attention. That disconnect only fuels his growing anger.
Clark. Now I've taken hits because I was calling it from day one. You got people that are resentful towards her, but not. It's really not about her, guys. It's about what she represents. Before she ever came along, there were a lot of outstanding basketball players who happened to be black females that was doing their thing on the WNBA level. And they never got this kind of shine. This girl, the Golden Goose, comes along and she wreaks havoc. She's the Rookie of the Year. She's 4th in the league in MVP voting. 4th in the league, her rookie.
Enter Brittney Griner, a veteran in the league who spent years playing in near-empty arenas, often performing before crowds that wouldn't fill a high school gym. Then Caitlin Clark arrives on the scene, and suddenly every game turns into appointment television. Arenas are packed, and the league's popularity skyrockets. So what does Griner do? She complains about the crowd. It's almost unbelievable. After years of playing in a league desperate for relevance, she suddenly has a problem with the attention and excitement when it finally arrives. It's like complaining that your house is too warm after enduring years of freezing cold. Stephen A. Smith isn't buying it. We all know what Clark brings to the table, her extraordinary talent, her marketing savvy, her ability to elevate women's basketball into the mainstream. But some in the league resented her rise because they saw how she's taken the sport by storm, especially as a young white star in a league traditionally viewed differently. That resentment is palpable. Stephen has been pointing out from the beginning that the league's growth, chartered flights, skyrocketing ratings, increased exposure is all thanks to Clark's influence. Yet, instead of celebrating this progress, some continue to resent her success, revealing their true motives.
When it was really all said and done, we know what she brings to the table. But people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm. And they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had. They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because...
During a tense game between the Indiana Fever and Atlanta Dream, footage surfaced showing Brittney Griner allegedly directing a racial slur toward Caitlin Clark. The video captures Griner visibly frustrated after fouling out, seemingly calling Clark trash, before adding what multiple lip readers interpreted as F that white girl. The clip quickly went viral, sparking outrage and accusations of double standards. It's a stark reminder of the hypocrisy that pervades the league and the broader sports world. To put this into perspective, this is the same player who was literally rescued by the U.S. government in a high-profile prisoner exchange with Russia, returning home after being detained for months. Yet, in a moment of apparent rage, she allegedly made racist comments, which many see as a reflection of her character and the league she represents. Now here's where things get especially infuriating, and where Stephen A. Smith's frustration turns into righteous outrage. The WNBA's response? Complete silence. Despite trending social media videos and widespread outrage for nearly 36 hours, the league has refused to comment or launch an investigation into Griner's alleged remarks. This stands in stark contrast to how the league handled previous incidents, like when there were claims that Fever fans chanted racist remarks toward Angel Reese. Within days, the WNBA launched a full investigation that lasted nearly 2 weeks. But when clear video evidence points to one of their own making racist comments, the league simply stays silent. That deafening quiet speaks volumes about their priorities, biases, and double standards.
He said Brittney Griner, who Biden traded for the Merchant of Death, called Caitlin Clark the white female referee trash, effing white girls after getting fouled out. So that was Bobby Borak. He stated that on Twitter today, I believe. Watch this. So this is the call here, guys.
So the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
This is where Stephen A. Smith's role as Caitlin Clark's most vocal advocate becomes essential. While the WNBA establishment often ignored or even resented Clark's rising influence, Stephen was out there defending her and speaking the truth. "You see why I have no problem with her being Times Athlete of the Year," Smith stated after Clark received the honor. "You see why I said she should have been on Team USA? You see why I had to go off on the likes of Cheryl Swoops and others, who were clearly dismissive of her?" Stephen emphasized, "There was resentment toward her, and that's why I said it's stupid." He understands what many in the league seem to overlook. Things are trending upward, it's improving, and she's directly responsible for that progress. It's not complicated. Yet, for those more interested in protecting their egos than embracing success, it might as well be rocket science. Clark's impact is undeniable, and Stephanie Smith's vocal support underscores the importance of recognizing talent and progress, even when the league's internal politics try to obscure it.
And what I was saying to everybody is ride the wave. Rising tide lifts all boats. The girl is spectacular. It's not like she's not a scrub. She's not only can play, she's a star caliber player who draws this attention. And maybe it's because that fan base that she has and her being a young white lady contributes to it. So what? Benefit from it. And then you have a lot of folks that have come to the defense of numerous WNBA players because they were pointing out, like, this has been going on before long and people are not hating on her. It's not about hating on her. It's that you feel she is getting a level of attention that you deserved and you warranted long before she ever came along. It's understandable.
Stephen has been vocal about the unfair double standards that have emerged around Caitlin Clark. If anything, she's tried to help grow the sport, he said. She's working to lift others and push women's basketball forward. Yet some players and league insiders have shown resentment instead of support. Clark didn't create the systemic issues that have long plagued women's basketball, issues rooted in neglect and lack of opportunity for talented Black women. She simply possesses the talent, charisma, and drive that finally brought the sport into the mainstream. Rather than celebrating this moment and riding the wave of progress, certain individuals have chosen bitterness and politics over gratitude and growth. That's the real injustice, and Stephen's voice highlights the need to recognize her positive impact.
Just in the short amount of time that I watched, I remember back a while back before Caitlin was in this, of all these female professional players bitching about not getting paid what the men do, and then it was made clear that when you have the draw, when you can bring in the money, the revenue, the advertising dollars, then you'll get paid more money. Caitlin Clark has made that happen for the entire league, but these girls are doing everything in their power to destroy the golden goose that benefits them as a collective. And the referees, it looks like somebody has paid these high school referees to basically ignore any foul.
Let's translate this into dollars and cents, because that's the language even the most stubborn executives understand. Clark's latest game before her injury drew 2.22 million viewers on CBS, making it the second highest rated WNBA game ever on the network. Even in a tough loss, Clark was delivering numbers that most WNBA games can only dream of reaching. Now, imagine those same primetime slots without Clark. Picture trying to explain to TV executives why ratings have plummeted by 200%. How would you convince sponsors that the league is still worth their investment when its biggest star is sitting on the sidelines in street clothes? Stephen doesn't have to imagine. It's a reality he's been meticulously tracking, documenting every painful ratings decline with the precision of a mathematician and the conviction of someone who's been proven right about everything he's predicted for months. The numbers don't lie, and they tell a clear story about the impact of Clark's absence on the league's viewership and revenue potential.
You can definitely argue that the WNBA has been taking a hit ever since Caitlin Clark has been hurt, right? And you can also argue that the Indiana Fever have taken a hit since Caitlin Clark has been hurt, because this is bad. Right here isn't a surprise, though. The cheapest Fever ticket before Caitlin Clark's injury was $41. Without Caitlin Clark, it's $3. Now, that is crazy. The Indiana Fever have been on a 3-game losing streak ever since Caitlin got hurt.
What makes Stephen's defense of Clark so crucial is that he understands a bigger picture that seemingly escapes the WNBA leadership. This isn't just about one game or even one season. It's about the entire ecosystem of women's basketball. When Clark is on the court, she attracts new fans who might have never watched the league before. Her presence sparks interest and excitement, but when she's injured or faces resentment within her league, those potential fans quickly lose interest, faster than you can say quad strain. And once they're gone, bringing them back becomes nearly impossible. You literally can't make this up. Ticket sales, merchandise, viewership all fall sharply when Clark isn't playing. The numbers don't lie. Caitlin Clark is the league's biggest box office draw. Stephen recognizes this in a way that the WNBA leadership apparently doesn't. He sees that Clark isn't just another player, she's a phenomenon. She's the bridge between the league's past struggles and its potential for future growth and success.
In fact, ticket sales are down 70% in many places. The Fever played the Mystics 2 nights ago. The cheapest ticket before her injury was announced was $41, okay? The cheapest one. After her injury was announced and people knew that she wasn't going to be playing, the lowest ticket price dropped to $3. $3. This is the Caitlin Clark effect. The WNBA doesn't quite realize what they have in Caitlin Clark. She is the absolute golden goose, the golden ticket. She is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. They must protect.
What truly infuriates Stephen and what has him so fired up is that all of this was entirely preventable. When you have a player whose ratings rival NBA games, who is transforming the entire narrative around women's basketball, protecting that asset should be a top priority. You don't allow opponents to hack, grab, or commit flagrant fouls without serious repercussions. You don't turn a blind eye when your own players direct racial slurs, an issue that demands thorough investigation. You don't treat your star athlete like just another player, ignoring her value and the potential risks. Yet, the WNBA has done exactly that, and now Stephen is sitting back with an "I told you so" that will resonate for years. When the dust settles and the ratings are tallied, the league will be forced to confront a harsh reality Stephen A. Smith has been warning about for months. They had their savior. They're lightning in a bottle, and they took her for granted. They had a once-in-a-generation talent, but somehow they let her slip through their fingers. Now, they're about to see what life looks like without her. If you enjoyed leaving a like and subscribing, more videos are on the screen now.